In this lecture, we are going to take a look at the Rotary Autoblade kit. This basically introduces a rotary cutting blade to your scan and cut machine. So if you work with fabrics, whether it's cotton or felt, then this is definitely something you might like to take a look at. In the kit, you get the rotary cutting blade already mounted into the rotary cutting blade holder. It's a lot different to that we're used to already with our scan and cut machines, and it's been specifically developed to help us cut fabric better. Also included in the kit is an activation code for a premium pattern collection, which I will show you how to register and take a look through later in this lecture. There's also a basic printed sheet here. It's important to note that the full manual for this kit is actually housed on the support website from Brother, where you would normally find the rest of the manuals for your machine or for accessory kits. This video hopefully will give you an overview of the process anyway. Just a few key pointers that might trip you up before we get started. First is that your machine needs to be registered to your Canvas Workspace account. You must have the latest software on your machine, that FCN files included in this kit can only be edited on your machine, and that the pattern activation code can only be linked to one machine at a time. You can change that in the future up to 2 times though. Right, let's take a look at how to register for this premium accessory pattern collection now. In Canvas Workspace, I've gone to my account settings, and you can do this via the online or installed version. I click on Pattern Collection Activation, type in the code that's printed on the card in the box. Your code will be different, obviously, as they are unique and can only be registered to one person at a time. Click Activate and the next screen confirms details, and it asks you to choose which machine you want to register it to. Then click Activate. All done. I can close that window down now, and I will head over to the project library. Go over to Pattern Collection and click on the Rotary Autoblade kit. Now, because we can't edit these in Canvas Workspace, I can't actually access these through the installed version. So Canvas Workspace asks me to log into my online account, which I'll do now. Then I would go over to Pattern Collection and click on the picture of Rotary Autoblade kit. Now in a moment I'll show you how to download everything all at once. But first let me just show you through a few of these designs. So as we're used to with Canvas Workspace, once we click on a project or an image, we've got access to the cutting files, the recipe book, and a zip folder containing all of the details for that particular project or pattern. If I click on the recipe book link, then it will bring up the PDF for this particular kit, and it actually loads everything. It's not specific to one particular pattern. It literally loads the project book for all of the collections within this kit. So worth having a look at that, just to see what kind of things are included. And if you want to, you could save that somewhere on your computer or on your tablet so that you can refer to it again in the future. For projects that require assembly, it also has cutting instructions as well as assembly instructions. And it's good to see that all of the projects are specific to soft crafts or fabric crafts. Whether it's a mini pincushion, a folded rose, or personalised soft letters, they're all specific to fabric crafts. Now we can download individual mats to our cutting machine. However, by clicking on the big blue arrow on the main screen, we can download the entire collection to a USB stick. I'm just doing that now. Important to note, before you take it to your machine, you must extract the files. So however you would do that with your device. And then once those files have been extracted, you can delete the zipped folder. That's basically just taking up space that you don't need it to. If you ever lose the USB with these on, you can always download them again later. Now, as you can see here, there's my USB stick with all of those files downloaded, including preview images, so I can see what the individual files are. Right, time to head over to our scan and cut machine and take a look at various things that we need to do there. So the first thing would be generally to insert the USB and power up your machine. There are only 3 settings that we need to look at when working with the Rotary Blade kit. That's the pattern interval, which Brother recommends setting to 5. Then there is also the cut mode for the rotary blade, which would either be normal or fine. Normal is for basic shapes, fine is for shapes with a bit more detail. And then the adjustment area, where the blade repositions itself, you can set to include the area of the material or just use the strip at the top of the mat. To access the files, we can either retrieve through the usual USB route, and you would click on the folder. Alternatively, on your main screen, scroll left or right until you find My Collection. Tap on that, and then on the preview image of the Rotary Autoblade kit. Either will bring up all of the cutting files that are on that USB. You would then refer to the recipe PDF booklet to find the name of the cutting file that you want to cut. Or just scroll down until you find it. Tap on it as you normally would, and then click OK. We need to apply a seam allowance here though, so we go into Object Edit, Seam Allowance, and turn it on. You can change that from 1/4 inch to whatever you need it to be. This needs to be done for all of the shapes that need a seam allowance. Once you've done that, we're going to the Output Options screen, loading our mat. And because I'm drawing a seam allowance, I've loaded my fabric with the right side facing down towards the mat. I'm using one of the standard fabric pens with the standard pen holder, but you can of course use any of the available options. And then I'm setting that to draw. Now I'll speed this up a little bit. I didn't want to cut it out because I wanted to see what's happening, but it takes a while. So that's all of the seam allowances and relevant pen markings done. So I would now switch out the pen for the rotary blade. And that goes in with the brother label facing front. Then I select Cut from the output options and Start. As with our regular blades, it does a depth test and an alignment and then basically starts cutting. Now again, I've sped this up. The rotary blade does take a little bit longer, especially with fine designs, because it has to reorientate itself during the cutting process. So if you switch from normal to fine, expect your cutting time to go up a little bit. Once the cutting process has finished, you can unload the mat and then reveal your results. Now it's important to note on this occasion I've just used a standard mat with an untreated fabric. That's a fabric that I haven't applied any stabilizer to. It's just a basic craft cotton. You will, of course, as normal, want to make sure that your mat has enough sticky to keep that fabric in place, or alternatively you can still prepare your fabric in any of the other ways described in earlier lectures of this course. The rotary cutting blade, however, does or is intended to take away as many of those steps as possible and make fabric cutting super easy. So that's just an overview of the Rotary Autoblade kit. If you are interested in this particular project, it's the Stuffed Cat.